Okay, hello everyone. Today we're here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 in Just Flight's Piper Arrow 3. We have a 41 nautical mile flight from Echo Yankee Whiskey Key West International to Mike Tango Hotel, Florida Keys Marathon. Key West was just released for Microsoft Flight Simulator by Orbx, and it's discounted, so if you own it for other platforms like X-Plane, it will cost you a whopping $6. So be sure to check it out. I will be giving a full review of the airport as part of this flight. So let's hop into the pilot seat and get started. As we run through the checklist, I'll take you through the flight brief. You'll notice I've got my camera file updated after Just Flight's recent patch, so now I've got my custom camera work added back to the integrated checklist. We are departing from Key West International, which is a Class Delta. This is actually a very simple VFR flight, so we are going to stay over the islands and follow them until we get to Marathon. So couldn't be easier. We're going to fly at 3,500 feet since we are flying east into VFR. We do have some nav aids that will dial in as backups, but I don't intend to use them. Key West has a VOR, so we'll dial that into nav 1, and Marathon has an NDB, so we'll dial that into our ADF. Now, I will actually use the VOR just for distance measuring, so I'll couple my DME to nav 1, and that'll tell me how far away I am from Key West, which will help me decide when it's time to descend. We do have restricted space to the north about halfway along our journey, so to make things easy, we're just going to keep south of all the islands. We'll fly along the islands, but to the south, that'll keep us clear of our restricted space. We'll be flying with the red and blue livery. That's a custom livery that I created today. And I've set up my plane so that based on the livery I fly, that'll determine the configuration of the cockpit. So this configuration I'm treating as a slant alpha, which is no GPS. It does have a Garmin 100, but I'm going to leave it off for this flight. Sometimes I fly the blue livery, and that's the one that has the Garmin 530, so that's a slant golf. Depends on what I'm doing for the flight. Today we're purely eyeballs and visual, so no GPS needed. So let's talk about Orbx's airport. I was surprised to see that it's a little bit more than $6 US. That's steal for an Orbx airport. And as always, it's great detail. I used to make X-Plane videos before Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I would always do these airport flybys because it was a good way to see the custom and payware airports in detail, since you really don't get to see a lot of them when you take off. So I think that's the best way to dive into a review of the airport before we get airborne. So let's segue into our musical montage. As always, Orbx has done a fantastic job with modeling. The airport itself is pretty simple, but there's a lot going on. So you've got signature here for your general aviation parking. We've got great modeling of the terminal entrance. If you go on the other side of the building, you can see everything's modeled. And if we lower the music for a minute and just listen, it's waves crashing. How awesome is that? And if you pan all the way around the airport, you can see a lot of the extra detail that Orbx has added to Key West. So it's easy to spot when photogrammetry has been replaced with actual models because the models look really crisp and sharp. So if you look at some of the hotels here on the lower left of the screen, those are clearly added by Orbx because they don't have that kind of melted look that models do. So I love all the detail. You know, it would be fun just to do some pattern work here around Key West and check out everything that's been modeled. It's very timely for me that this airport just got released because it just came up in my Facebook memories, so I was here. My wife and I did a cruise to Key West in the Bahamas and spent a day in Key West just walking around and exploring. Key West was awesome, so I recommend it if you get a chance to visit it. I know looking back at these cruise photos now in pandemic world, it probably causes everyone to break into a sweat with everybody crowded together on a cruise ship, but it was pretty different 10 years ago when we were there. So very cool. I recognize a lot of things virtually that we saw in person. Here's an example where Orbx kept the photogrammetry for one of the hotels, but replaced the other 3 hotels with models. I love that Orbx models and improves the entire island. You can see battery 231 on the left here. That's the southernmost point of the United States. I remember going there and I think taking a tourist photo. And as we pan across, you can see the pier where the cruise ships are mainly docked, and there's a mix again, so they kept some of the photogrammetry cruise ships that were there, and then you can see that they added their own high-res models for the cruise ship, so it looks much more lively. That's what it looks like in real life, where you've got a small armada of cruise ships constantly parked there with tourists doing their rounds each day. So great job. This really brings back memories, and I'm enjoying it. So overall, recommended. You know, it was $6.50. You really can't go wrong for that price, so get it. Key West ground, Piper 359er Golf Charlie with information, India, east departure, parked at signature, request taxi. Taxi and hold short, runway 27 via Alpha Echo, Piper 359er Golf Charlie. We'll be streaming live ATC for this. Key West is not on live ATC, but I do have Miami Center for Homestead, which is the nearest sector.
Frontier Flight 11, contact Savannah Center 135.1. Good flight. 1215. Thank you. November 6 Alpha Charlie, descend maintain 4,000. The Key West altimeter is 29.5 and maintain VFR.
Set 2,000 RPM.
135.5.
Key West Tower, Piper 359er Golf Charlie, holding short, runway 27. Cleared for departure, runway 27, Piper 359er Golf Charlie. Clear left. Clear right, no one on final. Clear straight ahead. Let's go.
Sprint 489, descend and maintain 4,000, report the airport in sight. You can expect the visual approach. Marathon altimeter is 2990. November 6 Alpha Charlie, contact Key West approach 124.02, good day.
Coming up on 65. Rotate. Gear up.
American 522 Romeo, contact Miami Center 126.32, good flight. American 1031, contact Miami approach 120.5, good day. November 3 Delta Lima, calm maintain flight level 220. Breakyard 4910, Frederick Grid.
We're above 300, flaps up. Now we're going to head straight out here to the end of the island. Then we're going to turn left, do a 180, and follow the coastline heading east. We'll get a nice flyover of the cruise ships.
Next 275, cross 25 miles south of Naples at maintain 6 miles south of Naples, 6 miles.
We are on track, so let's sit back and enjoy that awesome flight simulator scenery. Alright, that was a lot of fun. That was a nice, easy VFR flight that didn't take a lot of planning, but had a high payoff with scenery and eye candy. The Orbx airport was fantastic. It's good for general aviation too. You know, it's easy, it's got a signature modeled, it's got some airports that aren't too far away that are untowered that you can land at. So be sure to give it a try. I think it's a great investment for $6.50. So if you enjoy content like this, be sure to leave me a comment, click that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. As always, thanks a lot for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.